live from their home studios. Please welcome the hosts of DevCentral Connects, Boo Lamb and Jason Rahm.
Well, hey there, community. It is the 31st of March, and we are at the end of our Microservices March journey. We're finalizing our last lab of the experience today, and I get to be the, I'll say the expert on the lab because I've run through it one time. So, Boo gets to be the guinea pig today. I've been through it, and I made it through, and I got everything done, and so, all is well on that front. But we've had a tremendous month of learning. Last week was a loss. I didn't get to be a guinea pig. I wasn't here last week. So Daniel, if you're watching, thanks for stepping in and filling my shoes last week as I was out for the count. We've had the flu and maybe various other things. Feel like all of us got like at least two things. And so it went through the Rahm house with fury. And so, but I'm glad to be back this week. And so want to bring in my partner in crime here. Boo, how are you today?
I am good. Knock on wood. I'm not getting the flu or anything like that. I got a couple weeks till some PTO, and I got to make sure I'm healthy for that.
There you go. What are you doing for your PTO, if you don't mind me asking?
I am heading out to Maui, which we went to a few years back, and we're looking forward to heading back and looking forward to. I mean, I live in Pacific Northwest, up in Vancouver, Canada, and it just basically rains from like end of October until about May, and so kind of getting away in the middle of that is really nice.
Yeah, I've heard that it's not necessarily the rain that gets you; it's the gray, like the constant gray. You never see the sun up there in the Pacific Northwest. Like even in the wintertime when it's like negative 10 degrees, we at least get the sun once in a while. So that's good. But Josh, welcome to the show. Hello. Green means go. Absolutely. Yeah, we're rocking our green today. Boo. Actually, we're wearing the same shirt. Mine's kind of a little closer to my camera than Boo is, but got the same shirts. And we're even saying pre-show we got a pretty close match on our green color wheel selector. So that's good.
Yeah.
But okay, so it is week number 4 in the Microservices March. And before I get to that, I had a question for you. We're going to do the question. So my question before we jump into the lab, and it made me think, I came up with this question the other night while I was working late because, we're still kind of getting through the sickness. So I'm, bouncing back and forth, taking care of my family who's, I'm through it, but, they're still kind of fighting through. And so moving some hours around, and I was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was like more in the zone at 1 a.m. Than I've been in a while. And so the question is, what does your environment need to look like for you to get deep into the zone? So, it could be like people or stuff or whatever. So what is your like the zone environment need to look like for you?
That's interesting because I was actually watching a quick video yesterday on office setup, and one of the things was, and I'm not good at this, is keeping your desk really tidy, and that kind of helps kind of clear things out of my brain. And I've cleared off most of the things off of my desk at this point, but that's one aspect is a cleared desk. But at the same time, another thing I was a tweet I had saw and replied to a few weeks back was actually having different setups for where you might work from. And so people see this setup right now. So I'm at a desk. This is a standing desk, so it does go up and down. So maybe we can count that as two setups, and it helps me just kind of reset my brain and start from a new location. Back here, I have a bar height table, and I have a little stool there, so I actually go sit at that if I need to kind of reframe things. And over here, I have a little seat as well, like a cushion seat that kind of came out of our living room after my wife was done with it, and so that sits in my office, so I can go sit there as well. So between that, I'm able to kind of, if I feel like I'm just a little bit sluggish and need to just switch things up a little bit to freshen up my brain, then I will move around to those 4 locations. So between having cleared out desk and being able to move around, that helps me get into the zone. How about you, Jason?
Yeah, for me, stuff doesn't really bother me too much. I won't show you the disaster that my desk is right now, but definitely, uh, you know, distractions. Early morning, late night, when not just family isn't awake, but also when the Teams and Slack and email and everything else is ding,
Mhm.
ding, ding. So
Yep.
sometimes I'll put a little do not disturb up, and I'll just shut everything off, even in the middle of the day, so so that I can just be there. Some things I can go in and out, like if I'm just cleaning up my inbox, or working on a like not a really deep processing writing project. If I'm just writing something up that I've already accomplished, and it's just getting the final words together, the distractions don't bother me too much. But if I need to be deep thinking to get concepts out of my head, or if I'm writing code, especially if I'm writing code, the context switching is very, very expensive. So if I'm in a thought and I'm like right in the middle of piecing together some logic and I get distracted, it could be a good 30 minutes to get right back to where I was. And so those things I try and avoid doing, in the middle of the what I'll call the Seattle rush hour, the 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Seattle local time,
Yeah.
because those are the times to where my messaging, fires up the most. So I try not to do too much deep thinking in that time, and I try and do the tasks that are a lighter load.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just noticed my phone offered me notification summary settings. So you can take certain notifications. So I've configured certain apps to save up their notifications for 8 a.m., 12 p.m., and 5 p.m.
Oh,
And
nice.
hopefully that kind of rounds up some of the noisier apps. Instant Messenger. I think that one's going to be always a tough one
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get around, but at least
Well, I
some of
know,
them are.
in our boss man, he has things configured to where only notifications that he absolutely needs to see hit his watch. So it's like he can kind of be away from his phone a little bit, but if anything critical comes up, then that'll show up on his watch. But he filters out everything else so it doesn't all hit his watch. And I need to figure out, your stuff. All that stuff makes a lot of sense. I need to figure out how to do all that stuff. For the rest of you out there, what are your how do you get into the zone? I'd love to see that in the comments. All
Yeah,
right. Well,
we could even do a whole show on productivity, I think. That might not
totally.
technology related necessarily, but I would love to hear from folks on how they're productive and some strategies there.
Totally. Yeah, that would be a great one, because there's certain, like, I want to find somebody out there has an email inbox solution that will work for me. Somebody. So,
Yes,
because
I would love that.
let me just, as an aside, my inbox is 2,558 unread messages. So at some point you just give up, right? And it's like I don't even have enough time in the day. And so I had a boss years ago, and then we'll get to the content, I promise. I had a boss years ago. Joe Kawa was his name, and he had lots of rules for how he did business, and his laws of communication
Mhm.
was that if they really need to talk to you, they'll call you 3 times. So whether it's a call, or at that time a page, or an email, he's like, so if you're away for a week, just delete your inbox, and then if it was important, they'll reach out again. So I don't know that I
Yeah.
subscribe to that exactly, but there's certainly a little beauty in that. And I've had people that have said that, like in their office outbox, when they're out of the office, they'll say, I'm deleting everything I receive in the next 2 weeks. So wait to send me a message until this date. And
Yep.
and so they provide themselves cover.
Yep.
So,
That's a good call.
yep.
Got a note
All
from
right.
Daniel Wolf there.
Oh yeah. So we got In my case, headphones, punk rock, and VS Code. There you go. Yeah, it's just like have one app up, and it's just your VS Code. Maybe your reference material in a Google tab or something. But yeah, for sure. And Daniel, thank you again. If you're just getting here, thank you for showing up and carrying my weight last week. And okay, let's get into the week. So we have, this is unit 4, and I'm super excited that, from the get-go, you had exactly what we were going to do every week. You got the webinar where they kind of walk through walk through the lab you're going to do, but then talk about the concepts around it and do Q&A in that webinar. So if you haven't caught the webinars, they're all out on Nginx's YouTube channel. Highly recommend you go watch the webinars. You've also got the deep dive, so their blog has links to everything appropriate for that week of content. So we started with Kubernetes architecture, went through exposing APIs. Last week, you guys talked about security patterns, and this week we're talking about canary deployments and being able to do a little bit of traffic shaping. And so if you have not yet registered, even though it's like the end of March, it's not too late. You can still register today, and then you have access to to everything. I don't know when they're actually going to shut down the lab environment. Maybe that'll be around for a little bit longer, but in any event, get registered, get out there and walk through these labs. You can save all of your YAML files from the labs, so that then you can build all that in your own. Daniel built a Ubuntu. Speaking of, the rock star Daniel Wolf, who's watching right now, he built a Ubuntu image that you can go in and make all this happen in your own environment. So, highly recommend you do that. All right. So with that, Boo, are you ready to get started? I will unshare, and you can go to work.
Sounds good. I'm in my zone.
All right.
Let's pull this up. First thing I will note as well, as Jason and I were chatting there, obviously we're not going to get this all wrapped up by 10 a.m. Pacific. So we have our after show set up. We mentioned this last week, but if you head over to DevCentral, you have to be signed in, free membership and everything. Head over to groups, DevCentral Connects, and you'll see the DCC forum on there. And this is where we are posting our show notes going forward and any after show details. So this particular show has an after show attached to it. So we're going to run through. You could even watch. You could stream the embedded video here if you wanted to watch us from here. But otherwise, we've got show links on here. As we have links, we'll add them to this thread. You can then join this after show Zoom where we will continue on and finish the lab. So that's on there. You can ask all your questions inside of this thread as well, which is nice because if you are interacting with us on one of the streaming platforms, then those that Q&A happens on that platform, and then it goes away with that stream. And so if you ask your questions on here, they'll get the replies on here for as long as we're around and we can see it on there. So just wanted to highlight that. For folks who have signed up, so if you've only just signed up, you're going to get an email within the next few minutes here with this page, and you're going to head down and hit Launch Lab, and that's what I've already done already. And so I am in the study room, and yeah, I have not. This is grayed out. I have not done the lab yet, so here we go. This is intermediate that we're on. Okay, all the stuff on here. Start track, 36 minutes. The other ones all said 30, I believe. So we've got
a few extra steps here.
Yeah. We are just commenting earlier. This is a really cool platform that the Nginx folks are using, Instruct.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with it, and I don't know what it would take for us to do something like that in the future, but I really like the platform Instruct. You've done a great job, and for those who built the labs, I think Robert, what's Robert's last name?
Haynes.
Oh yes, thank you, Robert Haynes. man, I'm sorry. I blanked on your name, but he did a fantastic job writing these labs. They're good stuff.
They are. They get to the point.
Yep.
Nice.
So are you are you launching? Is it spinning that up?
It is still spinning up.
Okay, so yeah, just so what Boo is going to be walking through, and it's going to kind of talk him through, but talking about when you create a service, something like having an API, and you're going to do upgrades to that API, and in here it says like API version 1, API version 2, and I don't think the intent is that the API itself is going from, you think about an application version or like, Python. It's not talking about like we're jumping from API v1 to API v2. It's just like version 1 of a build, or, so maybe they enhance a little bit, but, not necessarily talking a major shift in, APIs. But, if you have, build issues, and companies that do this, like Google, I think they go like, 50, 60 deploys like a day or something like that in some capacity. And so, you want to be able to test that your changes are good before you just dump everybody on the new stuff. And so being able to do a blue-green testing where you have both versions live at the same time, and you can like kind of start bleeding traffic over to the new version. And that's so what Boo is going to walk through today. And start with, hey, 100% of my traffic's going to be on the production live. We trust it, we love it, we know it. And then, hey, we got a new thing, we want to start bleeding some traffic over there. We'll give you a little bit, and if we're not getting any kind of errors and concerns, maybe not errors, but maybe there's some performance issues, then we can go back to 100%, figure out what went wrong. Or if it's all good, then we can just continue to bleed more traffic over there. It says, hey, we're good to go, and then 100% on the new. So that's what Boo's going to walk through today.
Cool. And first step we've done, as usual per the other labs, is start up Minikube. On this particular one here, it says extra configs required to enable that are a little bit different from the previous Minikube commands that we had kicked off before in the other lab. So service account token volume projection. I guess that's up here. And so with this feature enabled, the kubelet mounts a service account token into each pod. From this point, the pod can be identified uniquely in the cluster. And the kubelet takes care of rotating the token at a regular interval. All right. Oh. Uh-huh.
I did that on the first lab. It's like, oh, I'm going to check.
Okay. We are going to install Helm. That's cool, though. It caught me, so it's doing its job. All right. So we're installing Nginx Service Mesh. Good thing I wore the right shirt today. Okay. It may take a few seconds to see this result. So this looks good. Deployed. Installed. Verify that all pods are running. Okay. Let's see what we got here. It's still. Grafana, Jaeger, NAT server, Nginx Mesh API, Nginx Mesh, Metrics, Prometheus, Spire Agent, Spire server. Almost.
Taking its sweet time there a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. This
although it reminds me of a comedian a while back, talking about internet on airplanes. It's like you get on the airplane and you didn't know that internet even existed on the airplane, and then you have it and you're like, this is amazing, and then it breaks in 10 minutes later, and then he's like, so this thing you didn't even have 10 minutes ago breaks, and then you're like, oh, this is the worst, it's terrible. He's like, you realize that your tail end is strapped into a seat flying 550 miles an hour in the sky. Like, have a little patience.
It is amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly we can get accustomed to the niceties of being able to. I mean, what'd you do? You issued one command and it built an infrastructure for you. You
Yeah.
know, because I remember the days where you're racking and stacking, and even Linux today is a few commands in an install script at the beginning. These aren't the Slackware days where you're 18 disks and 40 page deployment doc to get a Linux server built. And that's one of 18 things that you need to do in the rack before anything's communicating.
One thing that might be interesting, Jason, is if we did maybe another one of these lab days where we worked on, not necessarily within that lab day, but worked on Kubernetes the hard way.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Maybe that's part of, you were interested in doing the CK. I'd be interested in that too. I don't know how far I'll get with it, but that might be a fun way to go about it. So,
For sure. Yeah.
got this manifest here. So the file name was one backend v1, and we've got this bringing up Nginx in a deployment. That image there. So let's go ahead and apply that. All right, got that output, and I didn't even know you could do that. You could have a comma here and go get pods and services all in one. Wow. Cool. Oh, they've drawn a diagram here. Okay, so you may be wondering, why are there two pods running for backend v1? Nginx Service Mesh injects a sidecar proxy into your pods. This sidecar container intercepts all incoming and outgoing traffic to your pods. All the data collected is used for metrics, but you can also use this proxy to decide where the traffic should go. All right, so sidecar proxy is injected here. Let's deploy a front end.
So you got your backend service, right? Now you're going to build the front end, which in this case is little curl script.
Oh,
it's really cool. I mean, that you can build things as simple as that.
That's interesting. Huh.
As we were having our conversation on Tuesday about, our first computers and memory sizes, I wonder how big that curl image is.
That would be interesting to see, actually. So let's kubectl get pods.
Robert, if you're watching, how big is that curl image?
Does it fit on a floppy? Okay, so we've got image running, front end, back end. You will need to piece together the command for pulling logs that follows this format. Add this command to your terminal.
Yeah, and you'll need that a lot. So I did save that in a separate file just so I could keep pasting it in. You could also just paste it in a notepad on your desk and not keep it in the environment.
Sort the full pot. Oh, okay. Hang on here.
Incidentally, anybody watching, do you guys use a clipboard that's more than just the last thing you clipped? I've been intrigued by those. I haven't found one that works great, and so I never stick with one. But I would love the ones where I can keep 10 to 15 things with hotkeys always in my clipboard, because there's some things I use 20, 30 times a day that I hate typing. So if any of you use a clipboard that you love, let me know.
Yeah, maybe please post that into the water cooler or technical articles or technical forum.
I can just start one of those while you're doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just start a productivity water cooler, and then the show will come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Double pass this live stream. I'm going to create while you're creating.
Daniel Edgar, newly promoted Daniel Edgar, formerly product manager, on the Nginx side, now Global Solutions Architect, mentions he didn't name the app. He says he's got a copy buffer history app.
Yeah,
Sure what
that's
it is.
that's a little shady there, Daniel. You're saying, hey, I've got something that works great, but where's
I
the
think
share,
he'll
man?
I think he'll post it on DevCentral,
Oh,
and hopefully that
good
will help
call.
us out.
I'll get the water cooler started.
Cool. Tip, save this command because you'll use it repeatedly. It's useful to save in a text editor. And we'll use this file name and reference it through the remainder of the lab. Okay.
Yeah, while you're doing that real quick, I do want to highlight this security advisory for the Spring framework, the Spring 4 shell. Got a little questions about that on Twitter today, and we do have a support article out there for that. So go check out those vulnerabilities at K11510688.
Cool.
And I love that. Thank you, sir. Um, we will try to keep doing the things that we do, and more feedback from the community is gives us direction on content. We do things that we know we need to support, but sometimes we don't know what the community wants and needs unless you ask. So drop comments here out on DevCentral as well, and we'll do our best to keep bringing great things to the community.
Yeah. I'll highlight too, Jason, we're coming up on 10 o'clock here. So at the beginning of the show, we mentioned this. We are doing everything, when we end the show at 10 o'clock, obviously we're not done the lab, so we're going to bring that over into the after show. All you have to do is you head over to community.f5.com, log in, free membership. You can just, if you have other services with F5, you probably already have a login. Or you have an account that will allow you to log into DevCentral. So over here up top, there's the groups. You'll see DevCentral Connects and the DCC forum. This is where we're posting all of the show details. And so there is a thread here for today's show. You head over into there and you will see the show embedded on there. We're going to post up some of the show links that we have from the live chat on the YouTube and the Facebook. I think there was some chat on there as well. And then here is the Zoom that will get you into the after show Zoom, where we will continue on and finish the lab inside of there. So we'll see folks there. There'll be some other folks from the DevCentral team, I think, joining us on there as well. And you can all watch me get through the rest of the lab.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And I've got that water cooler up, and I'll post that, and then we'll close out the show and head over there.
Cool.
So I'm going to come over to the water cooler for productivity tips and tricks. I want to share them there and bring that up on the screen, but that's in the comments at Facebook and YouTube anyway. Come out to the water cooler, productivity tips and tricks, and we'll build out a show out of that, and maybe bring some productivity experts on for that. All right, so before we get out of here, I want to talk about what we have coming up next week on Tuesday. Boo, you got At the Edge. What's coming up?
Yes, the service provider folks within F5 have some interesting stuff that's coming up for some services that they offer. Robin Mordashevitz will be my guest on that, fellow Canadian. Awesome on the live streams as well. So looking forward to having him on and chatting about that.
Yeah, and he has tremendous audio. I'm always impressed by his audio. You got great audio too. But
Thanks,
I'm always
Robin.
What's that? Thanks, Rob.
Yep.
Yeah, and then a week from today we have Threat Stack. We're going to talk about we had an acquisition here back in the fall, I think, with Threat Stack, and so we're going to talk about what Threat Stack is, and bring a little bit of awareness and knowledge to the fantastic platform there. And Peter Scheffler, who's a friend of the show and former guest, will be with us for that. And with that, I think we'll close out of here. Join us over at the Zoom call. We'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you so much, community.